Hello guys, my name is Ahmed Sakron. Today we have a session about budgeting. So the first thing is introducing myself. So as I said, my name is Ahmed Sakron. I am the financial manager of AIESEC in Egypt, MC Kamet, and my nickname is Jimmy. That's why I'm writing Jimmy on the slide. So what we will talk about today is basically what is budgeting? What does it mean by budget, and what is the importance of budget? Then we'll have we'll talk about how can I implement my budget, what is the tricks, how can I use analysis, and what's cost cutting, how can I use cost cutting in this. So let's move forward. So the first thing is, what is budget? So mainly this is the slide from the financial standards PPT that we're all familiar with. So mainly budgeting is like how can I turn my plan or my focuses and everything that I have been thinking about, that I'm putting in as focuses or planning with my MC or LC into numerics. So it's basically how to change the plan and the focuses and the direction and everything into a numerical version. So this is mainly the budgeting. So it's like translation or the change from a plan into an action one, translated into numbers, revenue, expense, and profit, and everything, which makes me able to track more how we are doing on the organizational level, performance, and everything. So this is mainly what is budgeting. If you're still didn't get the definition from the slide, so mainly a budget is an estimation of the revenue and expenses over a specified period of time or in the future. So it's mainly like I'm breaking down all the revenues that I'm gonna have, all the expenses that I'm gonna pay for the next term or for 6 months or 1 year in front of me, and do like simple math equation, which is revenue minus expenses equal surplus. And it's always positive because budgets are always planned in profit. The second is it's after I formulate this, and after I create this template, I already put my revenues, I already put all my expenses. I check that this is everything that I have in the future period of time. I put like checkpoints to get the budget reviewed at a specific and defined checkpoints over time. So now I put budget for 6 months. That doesn't mean that that's it. That's the budget for 6 months and I can't change anything. No, it's like I have defined and find unknown checkpoints. That at these checkpoints, I'm gonna review my budget, see if my some external factors that come up I didn't plan from the beginning and everything. So I have to have defined and clear checkpoints to review my budget. And I should choose the checkpoints wisely, because I should choose like based on the performance and based on the peak. So in order to handle the crisis before it's already messed up. The third point is it's connected to the organization vision and the goal for the upcoming term. So, for example, it doesn't make any sense if the MC is pushing in a certain direction or focusing on a certain product, and for LC or MC, we are focusing on a certain product, and I'm pushing that there is no investments or discounts or stuff for this product. I'm focusing on another product because it makes sense for me, because it provides me with the maximum profit. So I have to be aligned with the organizational vision. If we are focusing on branding, so I have to put so much allocate some of our resources to branding. If I'm focusing on value delivery, so I have to invest in value delivery, and don't. If I'm gonna cut cost, I shouldn't cut cost from value delivery. I should cut cost or generate revenue stream from other stuff, and etc. And we shall consider the purpose of budget and how they fit into the decision making and planning process. As I said, like the planning process and the budget is not two separate things; it's complementary. So the budget should ensure that the planning process is being implemented. It's not a different thing, and it should be aligned with the vision. It should be aligned with the direction and the focuses and the strategies that we have to implement for the next year. And usually, when we plan, budget is always on Excel because it's really easy to use, and we can formulate the equations and the formulas and get the analytics that we want in a very easy way. So that's why we use Excel. So after now we understand the importance of the budget. What is the importance of having a budget now? Now we understand what is a budget. So now, what is about the importance of having a budget? So the first thing is about cash management and liquidity analysis. So the importance of having a budget is now you know the amount of revenue that you are going to get every month and the amount of expenses that you're going to spend every month. So it's easy for you now to know to be able to have cash management or to manage your money or your resources in a better way, because now you know you have expectations. So you manage your cash or manage your resources based on the inputs that you have from the budget. And the other thing that you already have expectations, you have budgeted goals and stuff. So now you know how will liquidity go. So if you are going to plan your liquidity for a certain period of time, you have a reference to get back to. So that's the first point. The second point is about investments and innovation, decision making. As I said, you have to be aligned with the organizational vision. That's the first thing. Second thing, if we come up with an idea for investment and innovation at the middle of the term, you have to get back to the budget to know if you have the capacity for this investment or not. Yeah, there is a whole thing with tracking the ROI of the investment and measure the ROI and everything. This is another part of the story. But to get us to accept the investment or not, you have to get back to the budget, see if we have the financial capacity for it. So you don't go to the investment and get things messed up after this because you discover that you didn't handle it financially wise, even if you have the money right now, but you will not be capable to fulfill your needs at a certain period of time later, or you can't compensate this amount of money later from another source of money. That's the second point. The third point is a truly organizational performance indicator. For an LC example, if there is a deviation in a certain program, in the revenue of a certain program, this is a clear indicator of the performance of this function, because the revenue goal is based on the budgeted goal for realization or approval in the goal. That means that they are not performing in the best way possible. That means that the performance at certain product is not at its best form. So we have a problem. So we start by circling this area and start analyzing the data and stuff. Start moving forward. Have synergy meetings. Recommend areas of development and solve the issue in order to get this product back on track. So it's mainly an indicator that can show you if you have an error in your performance, what specifically is the source of this and how can we solve it. The fourth point is it's also a financial insights for the profitability of the business. Like you have all your expenses in front of you and have all your revenues in front of you, so it's very easy for you to know how much each product contributes or any item in the budget contributes to your profit overall. Which program shares the maximum percentage of it? Which program is the cash cow for you? Which program is drives the finances of the entity? And which program is doing the exactly opposite of it? Which program is consuming a lot of money, but at the end the profitability is very low. It's consuming lots of resources, lots of money, and lots of everything. But at the end, the product does not provide the amount of profit that is expected from it. So it's simply you can get most of your financial insights for profitability or anything else of the products from the budget. It's a start, and it all starts from analyzing the budget versus action and stuff like this. And after that, you have data, you have insights about everything about each product, what the product is providing, which product is a cash cow for you, which product is putting the financial status of the LC or the MC in danger and everything. Okay, so moving forward. The next point, which is what is the MOS of the budget? Okay, now by this point in time, I understand exactly what's budgeting and what is okay. I know what's budgeting. I know what is the importance of having a budget, but what is how can I make sure, or how can I be sure that this budget? So, what are the indicators, the final indicators that if I check these indicators, I know that my budget is accurate and right, or my budget is not right. So that is the amount of the budget. Okay, so the first part of the budget is that your budget have to be aligned or have to contain all the items or all the expenses or revenue streams that your entity has. So, for example, you cannot miss in budgeting a certain revenue stream or a certain expense that you didn't plan from the beginning, even subsidy, it's either closing of something, expenses of certain conference or anything. So that's the first thing, is to align your budget with your business plan. The second thing is, as I said, your budget contains all the aspects out there. So you cannot miss anything, or you can't like surprise that you have a certain expense or certain commitment that you didn't plan from the beginning, which will simply naturally cause a deviation in your budget. The first point is, which is aligning the budget with your business plan, as we discussed before, is that it's aligned with the vision and the organizational goal for the upcoming year. And by the end of your budget, you have to come to the conclusion that you already synergized with all the department heads. Like if you went through the budgeting process and you are done with the budget, but you didn't sit with every department head and have like at least a very long synergy meeting to discuss everything, what's his vision or their visions for the upcoming period for their departments, and what kind of investment that they have and everything. You know that your budget is missing something. Because at the end of the day, your budget is about supporting these guys and making their goals come true. If you didn't synergize and hear from them from the beginning, of course there is something missing. And the fourth and the most important one, which is budgeted versus actual. And for me, this is the most important MOS, because it shows how good was your planning from the beginning. Like how good was your planning, how accurate was it, how much did you was you aware of the risks that you have, the efficiency of the risk management that you do, and everything. So that's why budgeted versus actual is really important. So moving to the next point. So that's the MOS of the budget versus actual is to have to synergize with all departments, contains every aspect of revenue or expenses that you're gonna have, and is aligned with the organizational goal and visions. And for budget versus actual is to check that this MOS is done. It has to be the deviation between the budgeted value, the planned value, and the actual value not more than 5%. Like if it's more than 5%, this is not a good indicator. And by 5%, like if you budgeted already is to have a of 20K, and then you get 10K, now you are fucked up. Okay, but if you have like it's not good also if you plan profit for 20K and you get 50K, because this means that you weren't addressing this in a good way. That's one point. And for another, of course, to get 20K, yani you are managing to have 20K, so you did a lot of cost cutting. You compromised maybe quality with some stuff and everything, because supposedly you are thinking that this will get you 20K, but at the end it get you 50K. So you compromised a lot of stuff, and you for nothing. Like you could have do some more investments, have some more capacity to invest in quality and stuff to get things better to get things done in a better way, but you didn't because of you were so pessimistic about it. Okay, so moving on to the benefits of having the budget. So the first thing is as we discussed before, it helps you in identification what are the problems that you are having. But the beauty of it is like you identify these problems in the checkpoints which are very close to each other, and you don't wait till the end of the peak. Yeah, don't wait till the end of the term to know what the problems do you have. No, you have a checkpoint at the middle of the peak. So by the middle of the week, you know what are your problems, and you have an opportunity to solve it. So that's the beauty of it. The second thing is you can motivate your managers to better performance, because now you have budget versus actual. You know each product, how much it was contributing and everything. So if there is a declination or a deviation from a certain amount of revenue, you can go to this manager, have a talk, and show him that the budget is deviating and we are depending on him and everything. So you can motivate him to get his goal in order to make the budget right. The third thing is providing a basis for a system control, like now as we said, and also about the rationalization point, that you have everything in front of you. You have all the revenue, you have all the expenses, you have all the data, you can analyze whatever you have. So you can control, after this, you can take decisions based on this data, and you can control the things that causing you the products and the things that causing you a problem in liquidity, in causing draining your resources and everything. So it gives you control over the organization to how to put it on track and push it for the better. Okay, how can I implement my budget here? Now we know what is budgeting, we understand the importance, and we know what can we get out of it and everything. And we know the MOS, but how can I implement the budget? First thing is you implement the budget through, you finish the planning process, the budget is released and everything, you're starting the peak. Now you have to track. Everything is about tracking in finance, so the first thing is cash flow. Updating the cash flow and documenting everything in the most neat possible way and most accurate and detailed way helps you to understand everything and analyze everything, so you know if you are on track or not. So cash flow, the first thing, and the other thing is to track what the budget versus actual. Now you have the cash flow, you have all your transaction, you're doing a complete accounting. But how can you benefit from this is to analyze it. So budget versus actual, what is the things that are deviating, what are the things that are meeting the goal. So these things are right, we can push it more. How can we push it more? And analyze what are the things that causing the deviation, how can we solve it? Even if it's a product, what is the problem with this product? We are not performing. If there's a problem with education, if it's a problem with the productivity, if it's a problem with people doesn't believe in what they are doing. So it's about understanding the product more or anything. If it's a problem with a certain conversion rate, IR, whatever the problem is, now you know, and you can start solving it. And here is actually comes a part of managerial finances, how to use the data and the analytics that you have to allocate your resources in the best way possible and solve the problems and put the organization on track and push it to its goal. One more thing is liquidity planning, cash management. One more thing is liquidity planning, like how you know how much money are you expecting this month and how what are the expenses and everything, but you have to plan your liquidity day by day or week by week at least, to know that at any point of time you are you will capable to fulfill what you need to do. And cash management, but it's not really about budget implementation, but cash management is one thing that you have to go through. Your budget might be good and everything, and cash flow is updated, and accounting is your accounting is very good, but liquidity can mess everything up and can miss your processes or SOPs. So it's about cash management at the end to get everything in place. Okay, there is a question that I think you have lots of you have in mind, or have LCVPs asking you this question, like how many scenarios should I have? Well, for me personally, I believe in having so many scenarios is not a very healthy thing, because by having too many scenarios, you are eliminating the factor of using your financial techniques or your financial thinking, and you're not analyzing anything, but you are having scenarios. If I get this amount of revenue, this is what I will do. If I get this amount of revenue, this amount of expenses, this is what I will do, and this will be the profit and everything. It's good to to do scenarios to feel safe, because at any point of time, what will be the financial status. But if you have too many scenarios, it eliminates the factor that you are tracking, you are striving to get a certain goal in budget versus actual. If you have too many scenarios, so you don't care anymore about if I got 20K, it's cool, I have this scenario. If I got 30K, it's cool, I have this scenario. So it doesn't really push you to achieve a certain amount of a certain goal. But if you have one scenario planned and everything, you will do your best and strive and do everything to get that goal and make the deviation as less as possible. So that's my point of view. And the last thing that in budget implementation, that you must have adjustments, checkpoints, and you have to define these checkpoints in a smart way. As I said, like, you don't know if I'm gonna do a checkpoint, I'm not gonna wait at the end of the realization peak. If I do any adjustments, nothing will be implemented, because already the realization peak is the bulk of realizations has already passed. But I have to be smart about it. I have to put it like at a point of time that I still have time or have the capacity to do something about it, and to change the peak for the better and get back on track. And the last thing that you have to know, the break-even points. And what is the limits and everything? If you are doing investments, if you are going to sacrifice, compromise something, what is your limit? What is the limit, and what is the least value that I can get from this? What is the least value that I can accept as a profit from each product and everything? So if you have break-even points, everything will be set and clear for you, and you have your limits, your borders. If you are stressed, a lot of things going on at the same time, you have everything defined, so nothing is can be messed up. Okay, so moving on to the next point, which is budget criteria. So this is simply again the slide in the financial standards evolution document. It's the checklist are really are very logical and make sense. But if I want to emphasize on something that you have to get all, you have to focus that all the revenue, not all the revenue, but at least most of the revenue comes from your exchange, your products, but because this is the essence of the organization. And no budget can be planned in negative. Always budgets are planned in surplus or profit. If the budget is planned in deficit or even break even, that's not accepted. You have to plan your budget in profit from the beginning. And of course, that you have, if you have big projects and that I'm working on right now in my entity, which is the repricing of your products. Like the pricing of the products doesn't have to be fed for each year. Yeah. Like if the pricing were good for the last year, that doesn't have to mean that you don't have to review the pricing. You don't have to review the gross margin of each product and everything. No, you have to do this every year to ensure or to make sure that this pricing satisfies the expenses and the amount of the level of operations that the entity has. The calculation of MC affiliation fees is reviewed every year. The guest flow is implemented. The instructions, so you have to do it before the term starts. Reviewing the budget. Yes, that's it. Budget advice, some tips or some pieces of advice for the budget is to be conservative, not optimistic. So you have to be cautious when you are doing budget, when you are doing your budget. You don't be so optimistic, because if things went wrong, the deviation will be huge. But also don't be so pessimistic about it. Like don't be so conservative, so pessimistic. So you are cutting costs on everything. You are expecting that everything will not get. You will not get everything out of all the revenue streams and stuff. You're planning like you are having 40 or 50% of the revenue streams. That's very, very pessimistic. Just like use your data, use analytics, use your mind, as the environment, assess the environment that you have, do risk management, see if you are capable of achieving these revenue streams or not. Use your data, use your analytics. So what happened last year and what happened in the year before, what happened in the year before, and see like if the program is, what is the growth rate of each product. So now we know, the percentage of growth for each product. So if example, if I'm growing in a certain program like to 15-20%, I don't expect to grow 60%, but I don't expect that I will decline next year. I'm expecting that I will grow in the same rate at least, because this is the organic growth, and and I can assess the factors that is up. If I have a new strategy that will help me boost the performance and everything. The second point is teamwork and consultation, as I told you. You don't have to do this alone. Synergize with all the departments, get points of views from all the team, because at the end, the budget is not about you. The budget is about getting their goals in reality. And always don't try to get consultancy from people, predecessors, people you know that they are good at budgeting and stuff, JP, anyone. So they can, of course, two minds are better than one. They can give you insights. They can give you their experiences. They got their practical experiences from the terms and everything. So now you have more than your perspective. You have a couple of perspectives, so you can formulate a better thing. The third point, which is don't hurry up, because this is a budget for the whole peak. This is your plan for a whole term. So take your time, budget in the right way, collect all the inputs and the data that you need. Don't rush into it, and everything. Okay. The last point, which is documentation, which is from my point of view that always fucks up generations, which is documentation, because I believe that the mistakes that you are doing right now, one of your predecessors did the same mistakes. So what is the problem? The problem is it wasn't transitioned or documented these mistakes. Yani if your predecessor and all the predecessors documented the mistakes and the things that they have done right and they have done wrong, now you are starting beyond this point. You're building on what they did. So that's the importance of documentation, is to document everything that you are doing, the analytics of tracking and of all your investments, analyzing everything that you have done, analyzing your budget for your successor and for you to get insights and do the managerial part right. Analyze the areas of weaknesses or the weak spots, recommend the areas of development, get to know how to push the organization and get it back on track. Okay, some tricks. Cutting cost is always the solution. So that's of course sort of a given, but my point is to know from the beginning, to know at the back of your mind what are the points that if things went south, I will cut cost from it. So now you know before the start of the term that I'm leaning on this and this and this, these points in the budget that I can cut cost from if things went wrong. So that's the first trick. The second one is always be driven by data analytics, because as smart or as professional you might get, but data always shows you stuff that you don't that you cannot see, or you cannot that's not really clear in front of you. You will get to see this from data, and you will get to see everything from a different perspective when you analyze stuff. The third thing is to know your cash cow. So if you know your product or know the revenue stream, that is the cash cow for you, because this one that you can depend on if you need liquidity, if you need cash, if you have problems with other products or other things, this is the thing for you, the cash cow that you can depend on to compensate all of this and get back on track. The last thing is you be flexible overall. Like if you are I'm debating in a certain product, that doesn't mean that everything is fucked up. I can compensate from another product to maintain like the whole profit for the entity is the same. Yeah, the level of sustainability is in crisis at this product A, and I will try to solve it. But at least the deviation between the profit for the whole peak for the whole entity is the same. So always try to manage to connect the products together. Don't manage like each product separately that doesn't do anything with the other things in the entity. No, manage the entity as a whole. Always take in consideration the whole picture and everything. Okay. Budgeting for LCs. Like for LCs, it's really when an LC, he goes with one of two approaches. Either putting like the goals of the exchange VPs planned right in the budget, like if they planned 100 in OGV, 200 in OGT, 150 in IGV, he put the goals the same in the budget. And of course, these goals are exchange VPs tend to be so optimistic and ambitious and stuff. So these goals probably are not met. So this misses the equation of the whole budget, and the budget doesn't make any sense after a certain period of time. The second approach that the VP might take is be very pessimistic, like multiply everything by 50% or 40%, like expect that each goal the exchange VP put, he will get the 50% out of it. And that's really pessimistic, as we said. You don't know, that's not accurate by any means. So as a CFO or as a finance department, what should you do? What should you do is take decisions only based on data. So you analyze the product, you analyze the growth rate, you analyze the conversion, you analyze everything of this. then now you know the growth rate that is expected next year. For example, as I said before, if a program is from 3 years, the growth rate was 30%, and the year after was 25%, and the year after was 22%. So now I know that the growth rate is between 18 and 22%. So whatever the goal is, this is the data that I have. This is the first thing that I do. And the second thing is see what is different between this year and the last year. Like if we have a new strategies, we have new campuses to hit. If there is a new marketing strategy that we are going to use that will boost our operations, so I can be a little bit more optimistic and see that we are going to grow in 30 or 35%, but that's it. So based on data, based on analyzing the things that I have, of course, I take consideration productivity, I take consideration the manpower that I have and all the resources in consideration in order to know, in order to expect or do projections on how much, what exactly will be the growth rate and everything. So this is basically a little thing that I wanted to talk about because it's always something that I have been asked from my commissioners.